Welcome to today's episode of the Declutter Hub podcast, your channel for super easy, no-nonsense advice on how to declutter and organise your home. Please welcome your hosts, professional organisers Ingrid Jansen and Leslie Spellman.
Hello and welcome, listeners, to episode 146 of the Declutter Hub podcast. I'm Ingrid.
Leslie.
If you have clutter and want to sort it out, this is the show for you. Now, in today's episode, Leslie and I are talking about the 10 things you can declutter from your bathroom. Leslie, the 10 things is back. We love doing the 10 things.
We do. It's been a while since we've done 10 things, hasn't it?
Yes.
Maybe because we've been talking about hundreds of things. And so actually we're going to keep it simple today and do 10 things. But it won't be 10. It's 10 categories, really. So it will be more than 10 things, won't it? Yeah. By the time you've done your declutter. We want to keep it simple so that you've got this goal for this weekend. 10 things from your bathroom.
Yes.
Let's go, Ingrid.
Let's do it, because we have found 10 really good things. And because we were brainstorming, we were preparing for this podcast, we were brainstorming like, oh yes, we can include this and we can include that. And this is going to be a very good list. And we know lots of people have these things in their bathroom to declutter. So let's start with number one, and probably the most obvious one of our whole list. Let's be honest, because it is empty loo rolls. AKA empty toilet rolls for people who do not live here in the UK. A loo roll is a toilet roll. They are always there. Why are we the only ones who throw them away? Why do other people in our house never do?
I know, exactly. I mean, I used to have this thing. It's interesting, really, because I used to have, you've been to my house, and so you know, so I used to have this kind of tall, kind of decorative vase thing next to my toilet in my downstairs loo, and it's kind of metallic, so it looks quite nice. So I used to use that, and I used to then put the empty toilet rolls in there and then just empty them once a week. Who knows how many toilet rolls one goes through in a week? It's like crazy, isn't it? But anyway, but now I've decided that it's a nice thing to, I've got some artificial kind of, you saw them last week because you were here, like some artificial kind of flowers in them. So now I've lost my bin for my loo rolls. And so now I have to take them out one by one. I'm still waiting for that time when one of my family members takes the loo roll off and leaves it on the floor, and all hell will break loose, let me tell you. But yeah, it's just one of those things. People never ever throw away the empty loo rolls, and they just find themselves everywhere behind the toilet, don't they? Just randomly everywhere.
Well, I have a thought about that, Leslie, actually. I think because a lot of bathrooms have a bin, but a toilet roll, we all know, is from cardboard, so can be recycled. So you kind of don't want to throw it in the bin with like other dirty stuff that needs to be thrown away, because you kind of know it can be recycled, and you don't want to fish in a dirty bin getting the loo rolls out. So I think that's where, so maybe we need tiny bathroom bins with 2 compartments with recyclable stuff and non-recyclable. Maybe that's the problem. I'm not completely sure, but I've been thinking about this.
Maybe you should patent a new product, Ingrid. Maybe, you know, on the side of the Declutter Hub, maybe you should go into product development. I think that would be a great thing. And you can get a loo roll receptacle stroke ordinary waste bin. I'm sure that they exist. I'm sure we are not the first people to think about recycling in a bathroom. But we are here to say, if you've got those loo rolls hanging around your bathroom on a regular basis, pick them up and throw them away, because it makes your bathroom look so much nicer.
I know. That's the thing, isn't it? When you just immediately, okay, empty loo roll, boom, downstairs in the recycling or outside in the recycling, done. But when there's 1 or 2 or 3, it immediately looks messy. Who knew we could talk about empty loo rolls for like several minutes, Leslie?
Yeah, I want to know in the comments whether your family are the loo roll people who just randomly, I mean, you're lucky, because to be fair, what normally happens is the empty loo roll stays on the loo roll holder thing, and the full loo roll sits on top of the toilet, doesn't it? So even if you get to a stage where someone would take the empty loo roll off and put the new one on, that would be a bonus, I suppose, wouldn't it? We might even be one stage before that. But anyway,
that's so funny, Leslie, because this this whole thing just completely made me think about this Dutch saying that we have, and I will translate it because otherwise people are going to go, what language is he talking? But actually, there's a Dutch saying that says, "Don't think with the last piece of loo roll, the person after me is going to be fine," which basically means don't just leave one tiny, sad little piece of toilet paper on a roll and think, oh yeah, the person after me is going to be grand with just one tiny bit of loo roll left.
Like how?
Change
I'm
it.
sorry, right? Let's take a step back from this. So number one, we want you to say it in Dutch in a minute. And number two, why do the Dutch people say that? Like who thought of that as a saying, an actual saying? It's like, oh, that rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Like,
it's donkeys years old. So, okay, here we go. Denk niet bij het laatste vel, die na mij komt, die redt het wel.
Nice. Oh, so it does rhyme.
It rhymes.
So it rhymes. Okay, so that makes it better. It rhymes. Okay,
yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not really the first thing that you think about as a sort of kind of rolling off the tongue.
It's, you know, these little, in the Netherlands, we had these little tiles, like these delft blue tiles with like sayings, and you would find them in toilets, and people would hang up these little tiles with this saying in their toilet to kind of prompt other people, like, don't be selfish. If there's one tiny little bit of loo roll left, change the roll. Don't leave the next person hanging when they're actually in the toilet. So that's, I think, where it comes from. But it's actually quite funny, isn't it?
It's very funny. It's very funny. But we could have done a whole podcast just on loo rolls itself. And so we actually need to move on to number two. Otherwise, we will be here for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Number two is coming, Ingrid.
Yes. It is out of date medication. That little cream that is lingering. Maybe it's a cold sore cream or a headache tablet or some pseudo cream or something like that. These things have a date, but they end up in our bathroom somewhere, in a cupboard, on a little ledge somewhere. And then it's like, oh, and then you want to actually use it and it's out of date. So that's the next one.
Yeah. And so medication typically in a bathroom falls into kind of two categories. So some people keep all of their medication in the bathroom. So all their tablets, their anything that doesn't need to be in the fridge. So some people, that's definitely the place that they keep their medication. And for other people, it's those kind of like, let's call it private medication. Should we call it that? Mm-hmm. So things that you don't want to apply in the kitchen, maybe that kind of thing. Those kind of things find their way. Sorry, I'm laughing. Just like this vision in my mind of what you do with your pseudocreme in the kitchen. But anyway, let's move on. But yeah, so there's two different ways that medication goes. But you're right, there typically is some kind of medication in the bathroom, and it typically is out of date. Before you know it, it's gone, because quite often with medication, we just buy it for one problem, don't we? We put the medication on, the problem is fixed, we don't need it for several months after that. And so that's why these things go out of date. Now, if you want to do a really good declutter, then medication is a good place to start, isn't it, Ingrid? Because I can guarantee that lots of stuff will go. You feel very wasteful, of course you do, but lots of stuff will go.
Yeah. And here in the UK, we can actually hand in medication at our pharmacy. So out-of-date medication doesn't have to be thrown away. We can hand it into our pharmacy. So for those of you who are listening here.
Yeah, it's definitely the same in the States as well, isn't it?
Okay.
And they actually have like sort of not drive-by, but where a truck comes into local communities to pick stuff up as well. So that's quite cool.
So that's really brilliant. So let's move on then to the third one, Leslie. That was one that you came up with. I had not realized this, probably because I do not do this in my bathroom, but you had another really good one for our list, didn't you?
Yeah. And so quite often, so I'm going to talk about bathrobes or dressing gowns or house coats or whatever you want to call them. So what happens is, because we love a dressing gown, don't we? Let's call it a dressing gown for argument's sake. Because it's kind of cozy, it signifies the end of the day. They're normally kind of nice and warm and snuggy and things like that. But every now and again, we think, oh, I'm going to get a new dressing gown. But because we love the old ones so much, even though it might have holes in it, it might be a little bit raggy, we kind of keep it. And so what we find on the back of bathroom doors or in bathrooms somewhere is we find multiple bathrobes because we haven't quite got round to getting rid of the old one. So I've seen it so many times in houses, Ingrid, and I'm sure you have too. You're saying you've never seen this. You tell me now you've never seen.
In my house.
Oh, in
my
your house.
Yeah.
But you do have other experiences. Yeah. We know that you don't have in your house. But this big mound of kind of bathrobes sitting on the back of the door from multiple people and stuff. So check out your bathrobes. If you have bought a new one, you did that for a reason, because your old one was not fit for purpose. And so unless you've got very specific reasons why you're keeping two. So for example, I do have two. I've got one that's warm and snuggy, and I've got one that's cotton, because I dry my hair in my bathrobe. And if I dry my hair when I've just come out of the shower in my snuggy bathrobe, I get a little bit hot. So I have like a cotton bathrobe that I use for that purpose. And I have a snuggy bathrobe, if that makes sense, that I use. So I do have two, but no more than two. And they both have very specific purposes. So that's fine.
Yeah. But I mean, they're not all, you don't have 8 all hanging on the bathroom door. And then you're like, when you want to open a door sometimes at a client's house, I'm like, why is this door so heavy? And then you look on the back, like, there's the 8 bathrobes there for 2 people. It's like, why are there so many? And there's like all those and other things get hidden in between them as well. So if you are a bathrobe person or a dressing gown person, maybe this is the perfect thing to declutter. Excellent idea, Leslie. Excellent idea. So I've got a good one for number 4. Right. Picture this. You get a really nice bath set for your birthday or for a holiday or something like that, with like a shampoo and a body soap and some body cream, and like these nice packages that they normally sell like around December time. You get that as a gift, and then you use one of them, and the other 2 end up in your cupboard because you're not a body cream person, or you never are a bath oil person. Always they put oil in. What is that about? I'm like, what do I do with bath oil? First of all, I'm not a bath person, as we've recently found out anyway. I think I've gone into the bath 3 times in the last decade. But there's like bath oil. And I'm like, okay, well, that's going to be completely useless. So the packages look beautiful, but it gives these fluffy sponges they put in to kind of make it look pretty. But then you never use them. All that stuff gets put into bathroom cupboards, don't it?
Yeah, what are those things actually called? Those round, I don't even know what they're called. They're like balls of kind of wrapped up, kind of spongy. It's not sponge. It's kind of like like a plasticky, netty kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now we see a lot of those because they form part of every single bath set that you ever buy, don't they? And they hang around, and they're quite, a lot of people do really like them actually, but quite a lot of people don't like them. And they're the kind of things that we hang on to, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. So we declutter a lot of those unused products, don't we? So
we do, yeah. And they can have a second life as well. So those kind of things, this is about getting it early. So if you get a bath set and you know that you're never, ever going to use that oil, be realistic and give it away straight away. Donate it to the charity shop straight away, because they love these things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's about being realistic, and, but it's hard because it's wrapped up in guilt, isn't it? Because someone potentially has given you that as a gift, and you feel bad for getting rid of the other components of the bath set. But what we're saying is tackle that straight away as it comes in. Donate the rest of the stuff that you're never going to use, so it doesn't then go out of date and become useless.
Yes, Leslie, absolutely. If you have these products in your bathroom, get them out into the food bank, to the charity shop, give them a second life, because if they've been in your cupboard for 6 years, then there's no point. But if you tackle it straight away, somebody else can enjoy it and use it.
Definitely. Now, I want to go on number 5 to something that somebody else absolutely will not enjoy, and something that drives me insane. So there's definitely a movement these days. Some people have always done this, but there's definitely a movement now towards bars of soap rather than plastic bottles of hand soap and those kind of things. And shower gel, people are using hand soap for that, or body soap. So we use these nice pieces of soap, and then they go down and down and down. They get smaller and smaller and smaller until you get to the really kind of small bit. And then it's kind of awkward, isn't it, to kind of wash your body with a 1-inch square kind of bit of soap. They start to get a bit manky, so we kind of leave it on the side of the sink, or we leave it in the little shower tray or the shower caddy thing. And then they kind of sit there, and actually we don't want to use that anymore. So we get a new bar of soap out, but we don't really want to throw away the old one. So how many times, tell me, Ingrid, that you've not seen this? Because when I first mentioned this, you're like, what do you mean? I'm like, what do you mean? What do I mean? What do you mean? What do I mean? I mean those little manky, tiny kind of 1-inch bits of soap that hang around when you've already decided that you want a new one. You're never going to go back to the old little tiny bit of scrabbly bit of soap, are you? You're always going to use the nice brand spanking new bar of soap, aren't you?
I know, it's so interesting because when I grew up, we had a bar of soap in our toilet downstairs, right? Not a problem. Everybody washed their hands. But I think we're far more conscious now that other people touch things. So now if I come into a house when there's a bar of soap and I want to wash my hands, I'm a bit like, oh, there's no hand soap in the pump. Now, I do believe in refilling and all of those things so we can get the plastic down. I think when you use a bar of soap within your own family, so if you've got like a bathroom that's for you and you've got a bar of soap that you use every day and it's your hands that touch it, I think it's fine. But when you visit somebody, I think I don't know, I'm a bit like, I would rather that they have a hand soap pump thing so I can just squirt a bit out and wash my hands. It just doesn't feel nice to use somebody else's bar of soap. Am I being weird here? Or I don't know.
No, I don't think you're being weird for yourself, but I think the interesting thing is, I think if you've got a guest bathroom, then you probably would do that. But if you're in the general bathroom, I'm a big believer that you need to create a home that you can use 365 days a year and not create something that's used by a guest that comes 5 days a year. And so I think if you generally are a bar of soap kind of person, and that's going to suit you for those 365 days, and you're never going to use the hand soap for whatever reason, environmentally or whatever, then I think go for the bar of soap, and the guest that's going to come is just going to have to make do. So yeah. I am, it's the same with spare bedrooms. We've spoken about this before. So many people give a room in their house for a spare bed for guests and forfeit what they need themselves, like a home office or a playroom or whatever. And I'm like, that's 5 days a year. You need this to work 365 days a year. So it's the same principle, really. So I kind of get you. If you've got the benefit of giving pumped hand soap to a guest, of course, and that's probably going to feel more sanitary, particularly at the moment now, while hand washing is such a big thing, because we're going to take that, do you know what I mean? But generally, you're just going to have to you're just going to have to put up with it, Ingrid.
But I think though, what maybe can help really, especially with the sink, what I see on a regular basis is that the soap is actually on the sink. There's no soap tray. So because of course soap is always is wet because people have just washed their hands, and if you leave it on the sink, it kind of starts to stick to it. So I think maybe getting a soap tray, there's really nice little soap trays now. Maybe that helps to kind of get it off the sink itself. But I agree with you. Once it's like a tiny sliver of soap, let it go. Don't let it hang about because it gets really grotty.
It does, it really does. And so I think a lot of people are probably thinking now, gosh, these girls don't have to go into a level of detail that's second to none. So if you like what we're saying, this is the way our minds work. So what we are not about is, declutter your bathroom 10 minutes a day, blah, 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 that we've heard a million times. We are cut into the core of the actual problems that people have in their homes, whether that's an unused bath set, the end of a bar of soap, a bathrobe that you've not got rid of, an empty toilet roll, or out-of-date medication that you don't want to put on in your kitchen. That's what we're all about. We're all about getting down to the nitty-gritty, getting down to the detail, so that hopefully those light bulbs will go on. Yeah, because I'm sure that yes, that's me. So we talk about resonating with people. I'm sure as you've been listening to this podcast, you've been thinking, oh yeah, that's me, the toilet roll. Oh yeah, that's me, the bar of soap. Oh yeah, I've got 5 bathrobes on the back of my door. And so if you like what you hear, this is what you could get more of in the membership. And trust me, we go into lots and lots of detail about all these little things, don't we, all the time? Because we know these little details are the things that make a difference in your decluttering. We could all say, go and set to and declutter your bathroom. That's not going to help you. We need to say, have you thought about your loo rolls? And then that's what's going to make a difference, isn't it, Ingrid?
Yeah.
So if you like what you hear, of course, we have much more of this in our membership, don't we, Ingrid? So in our membership, we have courses specifically. We've got a bathroom course about the general bathroom. We also have a makeup course, which is amazing, isn't it? Because a lot of people do, of course, store their makeup in their bathroom. And we also have a medication course in case you store your medication in your bathroom. But of course, if you store your medication and your makeup elsewhere, that's also fine. So we just want to highlight that really. And the way that we roll in the membership is really getting down to this nitty gritty, isn't it? And actually keeping it quite real. I think that's what we're all about.
Yeah, definitely. So if you're thinking to yourself, I want to know more about this membership, have a look at members.declutterhub.com. And if you're interested and think, oh, I would love to see behind the scenes, how does it all look like? Book a discovery call with me, with one of us. Normally it's me. I love doing them. And they're 15 minutes. We can have a chat. I can show you what the membership is all about. So let us know if that is something that you're interested in. And you can just, like I said, have a look at members.declutterhub.com or email us on support@declutterhub.com.
You make it sound like I wouldn't like to talk to our prospective members, Ingrid. Yeah, it's normally me because I like doing them. It makes it sound like I don't like doing them. It's just that you've completely taken over the discovery calls because you like to chat.
Yes.
I like to chat too. Honestly, please don't feel. I feel if anybody got me on a discovery call, they'd be most disappointed. Anyway, we need to move on because we have 5 more things that we want to talk about.
Yeah, 5 more things. Oh my God. I always love it when you pull me up on things, Leslie, because I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh, hold on a minute. Yes, listeners, if you get Leslie, you are definitely in luck because normally you get just little old me. So when you get Leslie, he's like, woo!
Yeah, of course it is. Normally I can be found sitting behind my computer doing technical matters. That's what I'm doing while you're lording it all about with lovely people on discovering calls, Ingrid. Anyway.
Number 6, old nail files and clippers that don't work. How many nail clippers, nail files are hanging about in your bathroom? Because they get misplaced and we buy another one, or we buy one that was a bit cheap and we thought, oh, that'll do. And it doesn't, because by the time you then want to either file your nails or clip your nails, they're like rubbish. And you think, oh, that doesn't work for me. I need to get something else. Loads of them around.
Basically, the rule is, if the nail clipper doesn't clip your nails, if the nail file doesn't file your nail down, or if the tweezers don't tweeze an eyelash out, not an eyelash. Sorry, that's a bit, not an eyelash, an eyebrow will be better. Like, they got this idea of tweezing out eyelashes. That would not be good, would it? But basically, you know the score. They don't join together, and over time they go out of sync and they don't work. Yeah, we kind of keep them, and we see these all the time. We get a new one, we keep the old one for some bizarre reason. So check your tweezers, check your nail clippers, check your nail files are still fit for purpose, and get rid of the old ones.
Yes, exactly. So let's move on to number 7. And this is kind of my little bugbear. We already talked about it very briefly when we were talking about bath sets, etc. It is manky sponges and like manky flannels.
I'm just wondering whether manky is like an English word.
Probably, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think it probably, I'm not sure that manky is something that I've heard coming out of an Australian, New Zealand, American, Canadian person. So I feel like we need to explain what manky means. Ingrid.
Yeah. A bit grotty, a bit black from mold, a bit falling apart because it's been used so many times. It's now the sponge is nearly breaking in half. It one that has lots of soap residue. It's like little flannels, like little face towels that you use to wash yourself that have gone all raggedy and have got like little strings of the cotton kind of loose everywhere. And it's like, how long have they been here?
Exactly. And so tell me about manky sponges. So sometimes it's just, you just need to replace them. But sometimes, I mean, I wash my sponges. Do you wash your sponges?
I don't use a sponge.
Oh, well, why are you so bothered about manky sponges then?
Because I see them everywhere else.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But I don't use sponges really in the bathroom, but I wash my sponges from the kitchen. You know how you have like scourers with a bit of a sponge on the other side?
Sponge. Sorry, I do have sponges in the kitchen. Yes, you do have
sponges. I don't know we're talking about bathroom sponges here. Yeah. I do wash my kitchen sponges. And if I did use a bathroom sponge, I would put it through the wash. And so I'd be interested to know whether other people put their sponges, because they are going to harbour loads and loads of bacteria is the bottom line. And so that's why they definitely have a shelf life. So look around at those sponges and make sure the ones that you have got are fit for purpose and not harbouring all that nasty bacteria and manky stuff that we have spoken about.
So do you throw them in the washing machine then, Leslie, just to clarify this washing of sponges? How do you do that?
Yes, put them in the washing machine.
Oh.
Why not?
So not in the dishwasher or in the microwave.
Well, I do put them in the dishwasher sometimes as well, but sometimes you can't. It's nice to just put them in the washing machine. So if I was doing my cloths, my cleaning cloths, I would put my sponges in as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next one. Kids' bath toys. That's the next one. Because these cute little rubber ducks that we see, a lot of times, if it gets the water in them and then they get left to the side and the water is not squeezed out of them properly, it gets all a bit moldy inside. And then when you squeeze them out, it's like, oh my word, what comes out of this little cute rubber duck?
Yeah, also very manky also. And and not good when you're talking about little kids that tend to be the ones that play with these bath toys as well. So I think you definitely need to have a process in place if you're keeping bath toys to make sure that they are, as you say, squeeze out the water. That's why these net kind of not containers, kind of the net storage bags that they have with toys are brilliant, because what happens is over time that water drips out, they dry off, and then they don't get full of mold and bacteria. But you really need to think about that, because you can see it all over the internet when they open these kids' toys up and they are just vile inside, aren't they? And we're allowing our kids to play with them at bath time. And the other thing is, these bath toys hang around for donkey's years, don't they? So your kid might be 16 years old and you've still got bath toys hanging around in your kitchen, each to their own if your 16-year-old wants to play with bath toys. But I'd like to wager that they're probably not doing that. So really look at whether you've still got bath toys hanging around if your kids are older.
Yeah, I think I see that a lot. Suddenly it's almost like kids suddenly make a jump and they get more teenagers and loads of stuff suddenly is no longer to interest in them, but we still kind of cling on to that kind of time when they were playing. But we have to be realistic. Some kids play with Barbies or trucks in the bath. And at one point it's like, hold on a minute. They're like 12 now, they don't do that stuff anymore. Clear it out. And a lot of them have become really dirty over time and just full of lime scale. And there's not a lot of rescuing normally from bath toys, I believe.
Exactly. So the manky sponges and the kids' bath toys need to go. And we are on to number 9. We are motoring through our 10 top things to declutter from your bathroom.
Yeah, I thought of another really good one, Leslie. And that was those little testers that they put in magazines that are always like stuck in the magazine with a little bit of kind of glue thing. And it's like a tester for a new eye cream or a new day cream or a new night cream or a tiny little perfume in the tiniest bottle that you've ever seen in your life. And we think, oh, I want to try this out. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to put it in my bathroom and I'm going to use it. For example, when I go away for the weekend or when I go on holiday, I'm going to bring all these testers with me. But of course, there's no date on them. How long have they been in your bathroom cupboard?
Yeah, exactly. No, they're definitely there. I mean, we like to use those up, and we have sort of strategies, don't we, for using those kind of things up. So I do use them, but I don't keep them till I go away. I mean, unless you're traveling every week for work or something, then you don't go away that well. I mean, a lot of people do, but I sadly don't go away as much as I would like to be able to use up these testers. And so, yeah, it's really important for you to have a strategy to start to use those in general use. Don't keep them for when you go away, because when you do go away, typically you want a bigger bottle. If you're going away for a week or two, you probably want something that's much larger than a tester. So yes, they need to be decluttered from your bathroom, or at the very least brought into general use.
Yes. Now, Leslie, come on and tell us then, last but not least, what is number 10?
So I'm going to set the scene here, Ingrid. So we have this nice serene bathroom and we're like, okay, I'm going to go and have a bath. I'm going to relax in my bath. And I'm going to put some candles on. And so we bring some candles from downstairs, or we might have them in our bathroom already. We put them on. This happens infrequently, let's face it. This might be once every 6 months you get a chance to have this nice kind of relaxation session in your bathroom. You bring your glass of wine up, you put your candles on, it's all lovely. And then that doesn't happen for another 6 months. The candle sits there, it's kind of almost burnt to the end. You're using the towels every day. There's a lot of dust in a bathroom. The dust starts to settle and settle and settle on top of that candle. And all of a sudden, we've got a kind of 2/3 burnt down candle with a huge layer of dust over it, which doesn't really give you that serene, relaxed feeling that you want to have in your bathroom. I see that quite a lot, not just in the bathroom, a lot of other places in the house as well, but definitely see candles, scented candles and things like that in a bathroom covered in a layer of dust.
Yeah.
And I think it's time for them to go.
Yes. Yes. It's time for them definitely to go. Either rescue them and clean them and dust them off, and then ask yourself, if there's this much dust on this candle, is it maybe better for me to take it out of the bathroom? Or actually, now I've cleaned it and dusted it, I'm going to have a bath this weekend and I'm going to enjoy it. And then I'm going to take the candle out and put it maybe back downstairs where you would use it on a regular basis. So it's these things that end up lingering in your bathroom and then never to be often used again. So I think that is a really good number 10. So Leslie, we did it. 10 things to declutter.
I love a 10 things, don't you?
Yeah.
Because, if we think about it, there's going to be multiple loo rolls, multiple medication, multiple nail files and clippers, maybe some sponges, quite a lot of bath toys. And so actually it's 10 things, but it might be 30 by the time you've decluttered. And that's 30 things that you no longer need that are going out of your house this weekend. So make sure you follow our list and do some decluttering in your bathroom this weekend.
Exactly, listeners. That is your action. Because we are all about taking action here at the Declutter Hub. So take a little bin bag, get some of this stuff out that we've mentioned, and your bathroom will be more serene. So that's it for this episode, listeners. We hope you've all enjoyed listening. And if you're thinking to yourself, I need to have this list of these 10 things, go to declutterhub.com/146. And that's where you can find all the 10 things in the show notes. So you can maybe use it as a kind of little checklist or tick-off list for yourself. So we hope that is helpful. And we appreciate you being here today and taking the time to listen in. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please share it with others. And on the show notes on our website, you can find the sharing buttons. Now, if you want to have more handy tips and advice from Leslie and I, you can find us in lots of places. We've got a fantastic Facebook group called the Declutter Hub Community, which is a great starting point. And you can also find us on Instagram as well. If you'd like to know more about our membership, have a look at members.declutterhub.com to find out more. And if you don't want to miss our next episode, please subscribe to the Declutter Hub podcast and it will pop into your notifications each Friday. So thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Declutter Hub podcast. Check out declutterhub.com for more inspiration, and don't forget to tune in next week.